I'm going to try and back up so you can see, but this trellis right here has our hybrid melon that we grew last season. It was an accidental cross-pollination that occurred, and this guy is doing so much better. We definitely had some yellowing on the leaves, and I was going to move that, but there's a bee. And a little bit of damage going on. So like this right here, typically when you see browning on the leaves like this is from the plant getting scorched. It's getting too dried out, it needs water, it's getting too much sun, very much like with the peppers. This is occurring when the plant is getting burnt, which is not uncommon in a very hot area like this. Melons prefer warm temperatures, but they don't want to be burnt or roasted. And sometimes when you're growing on an arched trellis, especially in a very hot growing zone, these cattle panels right here can get very, very warm. This is a stink bug trying to eat my melon plant. We don't need that. Goodbye. That's a garden pest. You don't want him. But yeah, they can get burnt from the trellis. So you have to decide if it's worth it to have that vertical growing space, or if it's better for you to grow them on the ground, where it will take up more space on the ground, but they're less likely to get scorched like that. So these have produced several melons for us now. They've been really good. Oh, here's another one growing right here. You can see it right there. Now, although I was encouraging the melons to grow on this trellis, plants often have a mind of their own, and this one decided it wanted to grow this way, which is fine. Now, on the opposite side, we had lots of peppers that we checked out. This right here, though, is a Gatherer's Gold pepper. These are delicious. I love these ones. Sometimes they'll get knocked about. But yeah, these are really, really, really good. Again, another just sweet snacking pepper. You can stuff these, fry these, eat these fresh. These have a variety of different uses. This herb right here, this is popolo. This is a Mexican seasoning herb. We struggle with growing cilantro here. So when I saw this one in the Baker Seed catalog about it being a really good cilantro substitute, I was really excited, and so we grew this, and it's actually really good. I'm really enjoying this one. It's an annual. I love my perennials. I prefer everything to be a perennial, but this is really good. I like this a lot. It's so easy to find more peppers hidden back here. Elephant ears. All right, here's another one for you. So you're seeing this right here on your peppers. What is that? This right here is the same thing that you can find on your tomatoes. So this right here is very similar to tomatoes. It's basically the same thing, where the plant is getting too much water all at once, and the cell walls of the plant are unable to absorb all of that moisture. That's thunder. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not. This is the silliest garden tour ever. Kids asked me inside, they're like, "Are you gonna come inside, Mom?" And I was like, "No, the Lord is testing my resilience here. I'm going to finish this." At least I think so. If not, he's just laughing at me, being like, "You crazy woman, go inside." Anyhow, so you can actually buy peppers. Like there's a jalapeno that's like this specifically. It's like highly variegated. There's a word for it. I'm not remembering at the moment. But it looks like this all over it, and all it is a jalapeno plant that's prone to cracking with water absorption. You find this a lot when the plant has had sudden, intense amounts of rain, and then it's just scabbing over. You can absolutely eat this. This is not an issue for you to consume the plant. It's just normal cracking. It happens. When you grow food yourself, it's much different than the grocery store, and you don't realize that at first how much food actually gets thrown away because it doesn't look picture perfect. Most food doesn't look picture perfect. There's so much food in America that is wasted because it doesn't look like the ideal of what we think it should look like in the grocery store. It kills me. You should be using it to feed the hungry. That's what we should be doing. I have a thing about people not getting fed. So we're gonna go ahead and grab any peppers that are on this side, so that way I don't have to worry about fighting them as much on the other side. The habanadas are so good. I will harvest them at any stage. After we've gotten a few of them, though, I will let them ripen to their full potential because they are much sweeter when they've ripened, but they're just excellent. Excellent, excellent peppers. I love them. Elephant ear peppers are looking great this year. This right here is a tiny monster yellow bell pepper. It would get yellow and large and monstrous if I had left it. And then this is my watering system. And this is marjoram right here, an annual herb. It's really lovely. Over in through here, we've got more elephant ear peppers. These are still quite small for the plant size. It's raining again. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. So what do we do with all these green peppers, right? It seems like a lot. And the truth is, it is a lot of green peppers. However, I will incorporate peppers into my cooking all year long. I mean, you go to the grocery store and you buy one green pepper, it's like $1. And oftentimes it's not even an organic pepper. So we preserve them long term in a couple of different ways. I will freeze them. That's your most common way of preserving them. And then I will dehydrate some as well. And dehydrated green peppers are great for adding, oh, and then canning, obviously. You can peppers too, especially our chilies. But you can dehydrate green peppers, like green bell peppers, and then add them into stews and chilies and other things all throughout the year, and it will rehydrate with the flavor of the broth incorporated into it. And it's a great way to add nutritional content to your food. So while the plants are growing and producing, we're continually harvesting them green to encourage them to produce more and more. I am building up my storage of green peppers for the year, which works out great. And more green peppers than you know what to do with, which is awesome. Now this trellis, as you can see, is bare. I had tomatoes on this, and we're gonna go ahead and plant some more in here really soon. I just restarted a whole bunch of seeds, and we are waiting on those to be ready. I've got some Melrose peppers here. Those look really good. These are volunteer zinnias, and then this is hyacinth vine. This is not edible, but it's supposed to produce some really lovely flowers, and that just seemed like a fun thing to do this year, so that's what those are. We have some gazania flowers over and through here, and then this looks like it got damaged. This is my other row of dahlias. This got cut back when we did the garden cleanup. This falling over and kind of being all kooky is why I use the netting. Dahlias really do best when they have some sort of trellising support system, and netting is really good for that. Right in through here, this is sweet Genovese basil. This is my favorite basil for making pesto. It's the whole reason I grow this, and bruschetta. All in through here, this is toothache plant. I use this in herbal tea to help with sore throats, illness. I also make this into tinctures that you can make into cough drops. I have it on my list of videos to make in the future. When you guys put video suggestions in the comments, I will often write them down on my list of what I call videos to make. And it might take a while for me to get around to making everything, because I do have certain creative ideas and I want to make those, and I have weekly commitments. Like I try to commit weekly to doing the garden tours throughout the growing season. Not very much in the winter because the growth is really slow and it's quite repetitious. But during the summer and spring and even fall months, I try to do weekly garden tours for you guys, and that's a commitment every week. So it takes me a little while sometimes to get around to all of the video requests, but I do make an effort to do those. So if you ever have a video request, go ahead and drop it in the comments. I will write it down. You guys know I try to get back to all of your comments because I love you guys. My subscribers are the absolute best. You are literally what keeps me from quitting this job, because there are times when I look at these other channels and I see how big they are and how successful they are, and I'll occasionally click on them and I'll watch the video for 5 seconds, and then I'll get annoyed because I'm like, hey, my video is pretty good too. Why is mine not growing as quickly? And because I'm me, there are times you can ask Seth, actually, he'll probably tell you, there have been plenty of times where I've been like, I can't do this anymore. And he's kept me going, and so have you guys who subscribe and comment and like the videos and share them. That's really made a difference in helping me to keep on keeping on. So thank you guys, to each and every one of you. Thank you. I appreciate that more than you possibly know. Toothache plant. So toothache plant is exceptional. If you chew on the little flower heads, it will make your mouth go numb, which is why it's called toothache plant. Sometimes it's known as the electric daisy as well, because it's technically a member of the daisy family. It's wonderful medicinal teas, tinctures. I'm going to be doing a video on that in the future as soon as I possibly can. So we're going to harvest this. And as far as the basil goes, oh, also, I don't know if I mentioned it, I'm planning on doing a tea series. I'm getting it started now. Like within the next few weeks, I'm going to start the process of, because I've been having all these major commitments with the pool and the landscaping around the property and all these things that I haven't had time to focus on the tea series. So I think I'll probably do it in the fall. Whole series mapped out for making the same versions of the popular teas that you get in the grocery store, growing them, what additional herbs can be really medicinal and beneficial for you. We're going to pull out all of the herbology knowledge. It's going to be great. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to talk about my process for making the teas and storing them and adding good flavoring to them and their medicinal benefits, the whole 9 yards. So definitely subscribe and stay tuned for that. If my phone shuts off, it just did this lighting thing, and it did the lighting thing before and then it shut off. So I'm wondering if it's about to shut off now because it is hot. But I just took it inside and I charged it and I offloaded some of the data. So it better not. It'd be really sad. But yeah, you cut this and it comes right back. Oh, the basil. Sweet Genovese basil to me is bruschetta and pesto. That is what I typically make with it. It's kind of my Italian go-to pesto. It just has the perfect basil flavor. There are lots of other varieties you could use: spicy basil, cinnamon basil, purple opal basil, but for me, Sweet Genovese basil is my standard, my go-to for when it comes to making Italian dishes. And as I mentioned before, my grandpa's mom is awfully good Italian. I'm a weird mutt. It's an odd mix: Scottish, Swedish, Italian, and Turkish. There's a tiny bit of Turkish in there too. So who knew? But if you ask my husband, even though the majority of my DNA is Scottish, Swedish, Italian, and then all the other stuff, the Italian really comes out the most. It comes out in my hands when I'm talking, in my temper when I'm mad, in my cooking. I know I probably don't seem like it, but I do have a bit of an Italian temper. I'm very passionate about certain things. So, but your temper is something that you learn to control as you age, which I have most of the time. Depending on the day and my caffeine level. I did go inside and have a really nice sized cup of coffee while I was waiting for my phone to calm down about the heat. My gosh, that's the world's biggest earthworm, and why are you not in the bed? Well, go. Crazy. All right, so in through here. You can see that these ones in the front are quite a bit smaller because these ones got planted in more recently. This is that Venezuelan tiger pepper. These will ripen to a absolutely gorgeous red color, whereas these habanadas will get a bit more peachy in coloring. They're so good though. I'll probably start letting these ones ripen in the very near future just because they are so prolific and the plant has gotten large enough that I think it should be okay. That is a Legia sweet pepper right there. These are supposed to be the world's sweetest pepper. I don't know many people who do this, but we eat a lot of our red peppers kind of like you would apples. It might seem a little strange if you're not familiar with doing that, but let me tell you what, a super sweet, juicy red pepper is delicious. So good. So I'm very excited that we are getting to a place in the garden where I'm going to be able to start letting these ripen and get red peppers in. Now, when we get red peppers in, I also make a bunch of different red pepper dishes. Oh, I'm gonna fall. I also Love to can red peppers in oil for a variety of other dishes. So that's really exciting. This is another pepperoncini plant. It's the second one, so that's exciting. And then we have Melrose peppers growing in here. We've got some bell peppers that are growing. Shorty shadows. Now in through here, a lot of these ones in the back, these are the Venezuelan tiger peppers because they are just absolutely one of my favorites. And because of that, I've grown many of the plants because I just love them. And if something is your favorite, you might as well plant it and enjoy it. Not all of them, but some of them, you can kind of see they have this really lovely purple variegated foliage on them where it's green and slashed with purple. It's really lovely. And these are all in through here. My neighbor's dogs are offended by something. You can probably hear that in the background. All right, these look pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and move on. We'll come back and collect these peppers in a minute because I don't want my phone to decide that it's still too hot. Over here on this side, we have some more different melons that are coming in. We'll check those in just a second. And then this bed is loaded down with lime basil and lemon basil. It is my favorite. A viewer told me that it smells like Fruity Pebbles. Now I can't smell anything but this. This is a household favorite. This is a hornet's nest. So we are going to need to be pretty careful in here while we are harvesting these. I don't want to spray anything on here. Hornets are kind of the one, and I feel like it's looking at me. It's like, I see you. Yeah, it's tracking me because if I move, look, I'm moving and it's moving. That's sketchy. I'm gonna back up. We're majorly organic here because of the risk of affecting our pollinators. So I don't like to put anything down on the plants. Even if it says it's safe, I still try not to unless it's absolutely necessary. Ants are kind of a no-go for me. Fire ants really affect everybody, and I've got babies and I like them to be able to enjoy the garden. Hornets are another. I know that there are benefits to hornets. I know that they eat certain insects, but they are mean as sin. The first time I ever got stung was by a hornet, and they will sometimes attack the bumblebees. So I'm going to eventually get the hose and I'm going to shoot that down. I'll probably do it before I try to harvest the basil in here. This whole bed is just littered with lime basil because I had several plants that went to seed and I left them in the bed and they self-seeded all in through here. And I would like to harvest a good bit of this because I had a viewer request for the lime basil soap, which I love. It smells fantastic. And so because of that, yeah, it's definitely watching me because I walked by it and it moved this way. Not cool. So if you ever wondered if hornets could keep an eye on you, there you go. I need to harvest pretty much all of this basil. We're going to fill up a huge bucket with basil, and I'm going to shoot that down and run away from it beforehand because I have no desire to be stung at all. That hurts like the dickens. Tall plume celosia.
It's not attached anymore.
Awesome sauce. So this is the opposite side of the loofah trellis, and if we come down, we've got the corn. You can see that we are getting our silks, and we've got little ears that are growing. Typically we do the corn over there, but we had planted the corn in. The people who were putting the pool in the ground hadn't communicated with us how why they were planning to drive their excavator around the property, and because they didn't communicate, they ended up tearing up the corn and the watermelons that we put in the ground over there, which sucked. But we decided to just give the corn a bed over and through here, which we haven't done in the past. I don't love it because melons are really heavy feeders. Corn is a really heavy feeder, and they've done primarily best in the ground over there where they can really sprawl. And the corn just has a lot more nutrients in the area where we used to have horses and we had all the manure and all of that stuff. So it's done excellent there, but it's actually doing okay. I don't think we'll get nearly as big of a harvest as we did in years past on the corn, but it's still really exciting. And anytime you grow something like corn, it's super neat. Corn is also pretty inexpensive though, so it's not one that I'm super worried about growing. However, it's neat to see it. So this is looking really, really good. Seth did the corn, he planted it in here. Last year, I did the corn. I'm more of a chaos gardener, whereas I'll just sprinkle things in and let it be. Some of this did get ransacked by the sheep though, like this, you can see. They actually jumped in here and ate some of this. This is a ground cherry right in through here. You can make some really lovely ground cherry jam. So if we get enough, I'd love to do a video on making the ground cherry jam. I feel like that would be really good. We're just gonna have to see how it does from the beating that it got from the sheep. Now these beans over and through here, these are Blauhild beans. These got a little bit decimated by the Japanese beetles, and the trellis is getting really heavy on the top. This bed is one where I had our potatoes in here. I'm going to go ahead and plant another batch of potatoes. I have time to do that, so that'll be really good. This is a Santa Claus melon. This is another volunteer. We just harvested a melon off of it not too long ago. It was fantastic. Blauhild beans are amazing. I've talked about my love for Blauhild beans many, many times. They're on this trellis and this one right in through here. See, they're bushed up at the top. Blauhild beans are wonderful. You can grow them as a fresh eating bean while they're small and they don't really have strings. As they grow, if you continue to leave them on there long enough, they will develop a string, so you would have to string them, or you can let them just dry out completely and you can have this amazing bean for drying that you can put into chilies and things like that. This year, I'm primarily letting them go to the point of drying. I need to replenish my drying bean storage. I'm really good on my black beans, but we're doing Blauhild beans for white and tan beans, and then slippery silk pole beans, which you'll see in just a second on this other side for red beans. They're really good. But the rest of this bed is empty, so we are gonna go ahead and plant something in here in the near future. Now this side has blue leg pole beans, but there's like no beans because of the Japanese beetles, and then the birds moved in right here. And so I've just let them have it. With the bush beans that we did, we put up over 50 quarts of bush beans, so I'm not as worried about it. It's okay. If the birds and the bugs need to have this trellis, that's fine, because we got a really decent harvest anyways, so que sera. Now this is a really big difference from last week. These are sweet potatoes. I do like to dedicate a whole bed pretty much to sweet potatoes, and then if there is vertical growing, something that's quite a bit off the ground so it doesn't get overrun by the sweet potatoes, because they can turn into a pretty formidable ground cover. We came in and we mulched the beds very heavily, and the sweet potatoes responded gorgeously to that process. They started poking up new shoots and just bushels of new leaves, so they are quite happy now that they have been mulched. And I will probably come through and do another section of mulch even on top of it, and it felt a little weird to just dump the mulch on the leaves. Typically that's a garden no-no. Most of the time you do not want to cover the leaves of your plant because the plants need to go through the process of photosynthesizing, and they require their leaves to do that. So if you cover them with a heavy amount of mulch, most often they're going to die back. It's not what you're looking for when you are trying to grow plants. However, in the case of the sweet potatoes, we didn't cover them so densely that there was no foliage poking through, but it was pretty minimal. And they just have responded very, very well. So we're definitely going to do another round of mulching them in a few weeks. Plus, that'll give me the ability to see where we've had a lot of weed growth and kind of remulch that area to suppress it a little bit. I am growing our tomatillos in the same bed. Tomatillos grow very nicely with the sweet potatoes because they grow up and they bush out. Last year we got a really excellent tomatillo harvest. The hardest part with tomatillos is the worms that get into them, so you can net them. That is an option. I typically do not net them just because it's a hindrance when getting into the bed, and we have such a large growing space that if I'm netting things, it just becomes one extra step for me. Netting them would save me a lot of trouble when it comes to the worms though, so that's a decision that may need to be made depending on how the tomatillos end up responding this year, because I use a lot of canned tomatillos with garlic and onions. I'll cook it down into almost a sauce, and then I'll can it and I'll put it in a lot of cooking throughout the year. Enchiladas, taquitos, all sorts of dishes I will supplement those tomatillos into, and it's fantastic. So you can see these in through here. Again, like most things, we got a little beat up by the sheep. Yeah, that's yuck. Hear the airplane. I'm sure of it. So these are Rio Grande tomatillos. And you can harvest them when their lanterns start to dry out a little bit, and they can ripen indoors for you. You just want to make sure they're large enough that it's worth the effort. You don't really want to pick something super small. That just looks terrible. So we'll look through these and see if there's anything we can take inside and harvest. Again, the sheep like tomatillos too, so there's a good bit of attacking that happened in through here. Like this was pretty and upwards and is now no longer that way. Now over and through here, there is one little section that you're seeing. These are Chinese noodle beans. We do have a whole arch trellis right in through here. We'll look at those in just a second. However, you can see the tomatillos poking through and through there. But these are the slippery slope whole beans. These are the red beans that we are using for drying beans. These are a really good one for dried red beans. Really lovely. They're starting to, that's a stink bug. They're starting to produce well. We're getting to a point where there's a good bit of them coming in. Lots of blooms, so that's exciting stuff right in through there. See, look at these. We gotta get these back in the bed, because these right here, these are the sweet potato root, and as you're seeing, it puts out vines, and all these places where it's putting out a new root, these can turn into sweet potatoes. So you want to keep coming through and making sure that these are actually in your bed. That's important for getting the most substantial harvest, unless you're growing them in the ground, in which case, que sera, you can totally leave them and not put them up. Over here we had a bunch of pumpkins. We came through and we cleaned this up, and then we mulched this super heavily. These got really ransacked by our vine borers and squash bugs. So I wasn't really planning on this bouncing back too heavily. I mostly did this as an experiment to see the rate in which it would regrow, the color of the foliage, how it would look if you cut it back and then mulched it heavily, because just like the sweet potatoes, squash plants will go ahead and they will set out new roots along their stems, which is very helpful. It's very helpful in making sure that the plant survives. If it's in the process of producing fruit and it's growing along the ground, it's putting out new roots. Even if a portion of it gets damaged by the squash vine borers or the squash bugs, it still has new roots that it's putting out, so it ensures the survival of the plant, the fruit, the seeds. When you grow them in a bed like this and you cut them back, it only has X number of space to go ahead and put down new roots. So if certain pieces or parts of the plant get attacked, then they're not going to produce as well for you, if at all. However, this is much more of an experiment, wanting to see how the plants do after treating them and mulching them and all of that stuff. I don't have high hopes for refruiting, and I don't have any issue pulling the plants and planting something else there when and if I need the space. I mostly plan on using this bed in the fall for broccolis and brassicas and things like that, and giving it the next month or two to go ahead and attempt this experiment. If we get anything from it, excellent. If we don't, that's okay too. An experiment is an experiment. So this, what is this? This is powdery mildew. Powdery mildew is a fungal disease that can affect your plants. It looks like what it sounds like, powdery mildew. If you're going to go with the non-organic route, there are different treatments that you can use to treat that. if you cut the leaves off and cover the plant with it, you always have that option. So that is something that you can do to treat it. Some organic gardeners will tell you that if you cut the leaves off and you cover the plant with milk or vinegar or soap, these are ways to help preserve it. I have found that most of the time, once the plant has gotten powdery mildew, there are some steps that you can take to help it survive a little bit longer, but eventually it's going to succumb to that powdery mildew. It's just what's going to happen. Baby bird just fell out of the nest. Oh my goodness. 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 Are you okay? Why did you do that? Are you dying? What's wrong with you? Are you okay? You don't look good. Okay, where's your nest? Okay. The bird did not look healthy, but I put it back in its nest and I'm hoping that it ends up being okay. Oh, poor baby bird. Now I don't exactly remember what I was saying. Oh, powdery mildew is something that typically will occur. Jeez, you rat bastard. Stink bugs on my Kajari melons. Oh. Yuck. Technically, those are leaf-footed nymph bugs, and they're kind of pokey in places, so it does hurt a little bit. But powdery mildew typically happens from excessive heat and moisture. It's like if you don't wear sandals in a public shower, that sort of thing. This trellis right here, these are Chinese noodle beans. They taste a lot like a green bean mixed with asparagus. Sophia loves these. I like to saute these with some smokehouse almonds, and they're delectable. Not happy with you, Hornet. So we're gonna harvest these. These are great. These will be really fun. Now this bed, let's go around this way. I'm very hesitant to even walk under this trellis because that little bird, it really scared me. I hope it's okay. I do not have the knowledge or the wherewithal to nurse a baby bird back to health. Plus, I've seen parents in that nest. So my hope is that just by picking it up and putting it back in the nest really quickly, its parents will come back and take care of it and all that stuff. That's my hope. Okay, in these two beds, we have... You don't live here. Are you gonna come back or no? Do you want cheese? The cheese is in the garage. I don't have any cheese on me. I could go get it though, I guess, if you really want to. What is this? Tasha's Stray Animal Hour? This dog, I don't know if it's like one of the neighbors' dogs and it just keeps coming back or if it's a stray, because we've found that sometimes because we're in the country, people will drop their dogs off and then just leave them. Then I can't help myself. I'm always trying to feed the strays and take care of them. And this one in particular seems really skittish. It doesn't have a collar, but it's super sweet. And so I always find myself feeding them and taking care of them and all of this stuff. It's just what it is. So I'm gonna go grab some cheese from the garage. I don't carry dog food. So I've offered it cat food before and things like that, but it's super skittish and like scared of people. So my husband is sawing something in the house right now. So this dog's come back a few times, but every time it comes back, it acts like it's never met me before. But once I give it cheese, it calms down. My fear, well, the only thing is, like, I haven't actually ever seen it with people. Like, none of the neighbors seem to know where it came from. So I do think it's probably a stray. I might just have to go get some dog food and leave it out for it. It's just so scared of people, and we have cats, and I worry that, like, it would be an issue. We went through this last time. You know I'm not going to hurt you. Oh. Come on. Do you have a home? Be gentle. Well, and it seems to know tricks and stuff. Like Seth got it to sit the last time, so I don't know. All right, sit. Sit. Good creature. Oh, you're a boy. Good boy. There you go. Hey. There you go. I'm not gonna hurt you. That's all the cheese I've got though. So If you want to stay, you're welcome to, but I have to finish a garden tour, okay? I'll see you later. If you chase after it, it gets scared. All right, so we're just going to continue the garden tour, and I'm sure it'll run off at some point because that's what it did last time. On through here, these are the watermelons. We planted them in, and then on that side, you can see where we had the hornet's nest. And then if I come over here, this bed also has watermelons and cucumbers. So this one right here, this is a, look at that, that's beautiful. This is a Jimbai cucumber right here. I had somebody tell me last week that my melons and my cucumbers looked sick. And that was because I had just gone through the process of cutting them all back and they were pouting severely. They also hadn't been mulched or really cared for in any way like that. So it's pretty normal for them to be struggling. And this is just 1 week worth of growth. It looks excellent. It's doing so much better. Sometimes you just have to give things a little bit of time. Now, if it had continued, I would have put down some fertilizer. Now, I'm not seeing a ton of fruit, but this is not really my melon bed. Hello. These are the dark green serpent melons right in through here. I don't think you'll like cucumber. Do you want it? Do you like cucumbers? Yeah, I wouldn't think so. I don't know many dogs who like cucumbers. I wish I could tell if it had an owner or not, but I can only go up and down the road so many times. And you can't get it to go with you anywhere, just terrified of everything. Poor creature. If it stays here, I'll take care of it. I just don't want to stress it out. Anyways, we're going to focus on the garden tour. This is a Bait Alpha. This is my favorite variety cucumber. Because of the heat and the humidity that we have here, this is the one cucumber that is never bitter, no matter the blight, the heat, the humidity. It's a champion producer, so it's really, really good. I'm going to need a basket for this. See, even when I just like get up and walk around, it kind of startles it. And so I can't get it to stay or do any of those things that you would think it would do. If the plants were sick, it wouldn't produce as many cucumbers as it is producing right now. And right now there's a lot. I mean, because we're talking a 1 week difference in the cucumbers. In just 1 week, it's producing so much more fruit. Like, look at this. It's like having brand new plants. Well, that one got away from me. That's enormous. Cucumber plants don't like a lot of heat, so I will typically... Cucumber plants don't like a lot of heat. Hi, can I pet you? Hi. Come here. I don't want to like reach my hand out and have, yeah, see, I don't want to do that. I don't want to pet you and then have you like bite my hand off because you're nervous. Are you trying to play? Are you trying to play? I can play. Come here. Come on. Good boy. Come on. Or don't, whatever. Okay, so typically with the cucumber plants at this point, they don't like the heat and humidity. If they're going to produce, they're going to produce, and I'm going to be grateful for it, but I'm not going to go through any extra steps, but they don't like the heat. So, but that's a really nice size cucumber right there. Again, I will harvest our cucumbers at just about any stage because the more you harvest them, the more fruit they're going to put off. In here we have lots of different melons that are growing. I'll be able to show you what we have growing more when it's producing, if I don't come out and just take the melons first and eat them. But this is great. Gosh, what are we going to do with all these cucumbers? I've already made so many pickles this season. I'm going to have to start juicing them. All right. What happens when you're seeing this on your cucumbers? That is from a pickle worm. In the midsummer, we start getting pickle worms. They will bore into your cucumbers, they will bore into your melons, and you don't really want to eat worms, so they're typically a waste. So for us, we throw those over to the sheep, and they will eat them. If you want to, you can bag up your fruit so they can't get in there and infect it. That's one way to go about treating it. I try to grow more than we need, so that way when we lose some of it, it's not that big of a deal. The kids were asking to make cucumber sandwiches again, so we're definitely gonna have to do that. If you missed that video, I can link it for you in the description. It's really good. Cucumbers, you're noticing that there's yellowing on them. Maybe they've been turning orange. Well, it's trying to ripen, it's trying to go to seed. Typically, when your cucumbers have started to turn orange and get very bulky, looking like a young zucchini that has some odd coloring, it's trying to ripen, it's trying to go to seed. The seeds are going to be huge. They can often be bitter. It's not really something that you're going to want to eat. So at that point, instead of being disappointed, just go ahead and save it for seeds. No harm, no foul. This is the last in-between row of the gardens. So that's the dahlias. That bed is empty. We're getting ready to plant on that. This right here is a garden sweet hybrid cucumber. These have been pretty good. I'm actually gonna be a weirdo and stick this in my pocket so I can try it separately than all the other ones and make sure it doesn't have any bitter flavor to it. Because sometimes when you harvest all the cucumbers together at the same time, it can be hard to tell which one is which, because sometimes they can look very similar. So, oh, that's a ripe cucumber. Okay, what about curling on a cucumber? Curling on a cucumber can be from a multitude of different things. A lack of proper watering, a lack of proper pollination, a lack of nutrients in your soil, or it can be from something like a fungal disease and blight. The best thing that you can do is make sure you're watering adequately. They need a lot of water. Cucumbers need a lot of water. And making sure that you have fertilized them well. If you haven't fertilized them at all, I would make sure that you hit them with like a 4-4-4 or a fish emulsion fertilizer. That would be good. That would be my recommendation. If it's something other than that, you're looking at pests, blight, fungal disease, things of that nature. And at that point, you kind of just have to decide if it's worth it to plant new cucumbers or if it's best to spray your plants down with something that's supposed to aid with that. So. Okay, I'm not going to lie to you. I knew the garden would bounce back. I was not expecting this level of a cucumber harvest. Aww. Pickle worms. Typically by this point in the morning, I would be back inside. But the garden has summoned me. And so here I shall stay. I don't know if you like cucumbers. If you don't like cucumbers, I'm of no use to you right now. I don't have any cheese. Plus, you keep running away from me. You're gonna have to decide if you trust me or not. Oh, that's yuck. So then we also have another section right here of cucamelons. This is a little bit of a zoo and a little bit more intensive to dig through to try and find the cucamelons. This is a teeny tiny collective farm woman melon. Typically they get a good bit bigger than this, but sometimes, you know, they end up small and that's okay. Let's go ahead and harvest some of these Chinese noodle beans. Now, when the ants really love these, which makes the wasps really love these, and so it can kind of be a pain to harvest them, when they start to get poofy, they are past their point. This is poofy. You really want to harvest these more at this stage rather than this one. This is going to seed right here. Hey, we don't bark at people who live at my house. If you don't live here, you don't get to bark. Even though I give it cheese, I don't try to pet it or anything, you know? All right, you guys. That is going to wrap up this garden tour. I do have a couple of things I'll need to harvest, but we'll do that later. Bye, y'all. What sort of weird melonness is this?
I don't know.